This is Danielle Mitchell, Assistant Deputy County Attorney with the Charles County Attorney's Office, and I'm here to provide you with an update on the 2025 Maryland General Assembly session. Just to recap on how we got here, each summer the Board of Commissioners seeks proposals from the community on items that they would like to see in their General Assembly legislative package. These are things that the community wishes to have changed in state law, added, or deleted from state law. We went through that process this past summer and held a hearing in the fall to hear from each member of the community that submitted a legislative proposal. The commissioners then decided which proposals they would support as a part of their 2025 Charles County Commissioners' final legislative package. Ultimately, we ended up with 15 legislative proposals that were then sent to the Charles County delegation to the General Assembly for their consideration. And so this week, the commissioners were advised of which proposals the delegation elected to support and to have drafted for the 2025 General Assembly session. I will now recap the status of each legislative proposal based upon the decision of the Charles County delegation. The proposals were either not supported by the delegation, in which case they will not be drafted this session and not considered any further, or the delegation agreed to support them, in which case they either have been or will be drafted, provided a bill number, and then considered eventually by the General Assembly. So to start, a proposal to adopt legislation to deter squatters and trespassers. This was not supported by the delegation. A proposal to amend the Maryland Homeowners Act. This was not supported by the delegation. A proposal to provide certain minimum notice to school bus companies before terminating their contract. This was supported by the Charles County delegation, and we are awaiting a bill draft and number. A proposal to amend the stadium alcoholic beverage license to allow for the sale and consumption of liquor throughout the stadium. This was supported by the delegation, and it has received a bill number HB 835. A proposal to amend the process for trial boards in connection with sustained complaints of police misconduct. This was not supported by the delegation due to the fact that they deemed it to be a statewide legislative effort, and they were not interested in pursuing any statewide bills at this time. A proposal to exclude certain complaints of police misconduct involving vehicle collisions from the review of the Administrative Charging Committee. This proposal was not supported by the Charles County delegation this year for the same reason as the previous proposal, that it was statewide and they were not considering statewide proposals that were being recommended by the county commissioners. Next, a proposal to allow employees commissioned as special police officers to use their police powers to protect elected officials and employees. This proposal has been drafted by the Charles County delegation, and it awaits a vote of the delegation at their next meeting as to whether they will support it any further. Next is a proposal to dissolve the Gaming Permit Review Board in Charles County. This was supported by the Charles County delegation, and at this time we are awaiting a bill number. A proposal to adopt legislation to prohibit operating unregistered motor vehicles, such as all-terrain vehicles, from being operated on a highway. This was supported by the Charles County delegation, and we are awaiting the bill draft and bill number. A proposal to require identification or satisfactory proof of identification so that a police officer may issue a citation for violation of smoking cannabis in public. This was not supported by the Charles County delegation. A proposal for state funding to support a public-private partnership for school construction to address space needs of full-day pre-kindergarten under the new blueprint and construction of a circuit court building. This proposal was supported by the Charles County delegation, and it was identified as their priority in terms of those proposals that were submitted that are seeking state funding. The following proposals were supported by the delegation, but again, not identified as their priorities with respect to funding. They are a proposal for $500 in state funding to support county sidewalk program to improve walkability in areas identified for economic development, to include the Waldorf Urban Redevelopment Corridor and sidewalks for school access. A proposal to commit state resources to the development of a ferry service connecting Indian Head to National Harbor and Alexandria, Virginia. A proposal seeking state funding to create real-time crime centers, and a proposal seeking state funding to assist with the creation of a housing trust fund. Again, those were supported, but under the tight financial circumstances that the General Assembly finds itself in, the delegation was cautious about the fact that they may not be able to actually provide any state funds for those proposals. In addition to the Charles County Commissioners' legislative proposals package, the Board of Commissioners did take action on 3 additional bills this week. Those bills were HB 97, titled Economic Development Authority Powers and Use of Proceeds. The Commissioners elected to support this bill and to send a letter of support to the General Assembly. Next, Senate Bill 292, titled Motor Vehicles, Secondary Enforcement and Admissibility of Evidence. The Commissioners elected to send a letter in opposition to Senate Bill 292. Lastly, HB 20, Transportation Investment Priorities Act of 2025. The Commissioners elected to allow Director of Public Works Martin Harris to provide testimony in support of HB 20. That concludes the update on this week's legislative 2025 session with the Maryland General Assembly.